With our ministry, Small World Connections, we're committed to helping connect a culture within the church that lives out what we see in the book of Philippians, where Paul says that he can have Timothy go anywhere and have the best interest in mind of those that he's serving and not his own agenda. So over the course of this film, you'll get a chance to see 3 stories of what we call people who live out a Timothy attitude. And we love these stories because over the course of the years that we've been doing this ministry for the last 12 years, we've seen many stories like this where somebody either goes outside of their own comfort zone to serve, or they have a skill that they offer to the kingdom. And so we've seen those stories, and we just feel like it'd be great to give you an opportunity to see some of those stories as well and be encouraged to do the same thing, to offer yourself, offer your skills, and offer maybe your time in ways that aren't just about you, but about serving others. So we hope you're inspired by it, and we hope that as you see this, you ask the question, what if I lived that way? What if I lived out a Timothy attitude and became part of a culture like Timothy that gave themselves completely to Christ and not only did that, but saw that they were following what mattered to Christ. And so we hope you're encouraged by it. We hope you're inspired to lay your skills and all that you are on the altar and have God use it.
Yeah, you know what ready to roll.
I no longer have to think about that. I automatically grab my, have all my stuff.
Try to catch Pokemon everywhere we go.
So
and so here we have again walking in perfection, like all this is their choice, right? But we've all made our own choice.
Names and who you guys are.
Okay, I'm Chris Heffron, John's wife of 45 years.
Wow, it's been that long?
That went well.
Crossroad Cafe, it's a place, it's a drop-in center for teens, junior high and high school, and we are just available to hang out with the kids. We have a staff of probably a dozen people right now. So anyway, it's an opportunity to just connect with kids and develop a relationship.
We're open from 3 to 5, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. And then we're open 2 evenings a week, Tuesday evening and Thursday evening. Tuesday evening, we've been feeding the kids just pizza or a light supper. And we have a lesson that's presented or a discussion. And then on Thursday, they focus on music and open mic. And they also have a short devotional, I think, now too. And we've also offered free music lessons, piano, guitar, and tutoring for the kids. So they tell us what subjects they need help in, and we hook them up with somebody that can help them out.
I think one of the things that I really enjoy about the cafe is getting to see the long-term effects of the cafe on the kids, and seeing how kids come in maybe having very little self-control, not really seeing any value, and growing over the years. To some of them even seeing Jesus as their Lord and Savior, but also having self-control and being kind and polite and nice. And probably one of the greatest highlight was watching 2 young gentlemen who were cafe kids grow into a spot of being a staff. And so watching them correct other kids for their language or their behavior, and just watching how they are growing up to be young men of God.
And first time I came down, kind of saw what they were about, didn't really think twice about it, kept getting invited again and again and again. I said, all right, I'll go down one more time. And it was almost like an epiphany. As I was watching the kids, I realized that I grew up like these kids grew up. And it was one of those moments where it was like, I know what these kids need. I know what they want. I know what they're missing in their life. And so I decided to volunteer.
I think that there's something valuable about making yourself useful. Being available is the word that I've heard used before. And I think that Christian walk needs to have that in it somewhere, where you show yourself to be available for Christ to use you, whether it's going across the world permanently or part-time on a mission trip, or whether it's showing up for some kids who didn't have the life growing up that you did and need someone to be a friend. So I stuck around because I met a couple kids who needed that, and I saw that I could be that friend for them. So
one of the great things that happened when we first started the Crossroad Cafe Youth Center was that we began with several churches working together, and we've always had a heart to see the body of Christ come together across denominational lines and just focus on Christ and loving on youth. And so in that first year, we formed a board. We were able to start our own nonprofit organization so that it was independent of any one church. And it gave us an opportunity to have 2 or 3, even 4 organizations involved in the leadership. And so that first year was covered by all volunteers. There was no paid staff at that point. But about a year later, we were able to hire John Heffron as our director. And again, like we talked about before, his wife Chris was a big part of that as well. And so just a great 1-2 team, and God provided them at the right time. They already had a heart for the ministry and had done a youth center coffee house before. So it was just clear that God was opening doors, and we found a building that we've now had for 19 years, that the rent hasn't gone up one time in 19 years.
The dogs are getting out.
I was winning and everybody else forfeited.
That's one.
Meet you out there, Chris.
The older boys didn't want to get up, and then Nathan wakes up real cheerful, and Sarah wakes up real cheerful. She's still in her crib. She was that little, so.
I'm kind of surprised sometimes that that we have the interaction that we do. but the kids will come to the Crossroad Cafe and bother to develop a relationship with our staff. And that's been an interesting thing to watch over the last 20 years. And we've had probably 100 different staff. And I kind of look at it like it's Jesus and the disciples, and where there was on-the-job training, and that's what we have. The kids come to the cafe, and our staff loves these kids significantly, and they know it, and then that relationship develops.
To see them come in scared, come in, we've had kids come in trying to get off the street because there's people that are bullying them, and they come here because they know that that won't happen while they're in the building. The biggest thing that I see is, I don't want to say maybe confidence, but an assuredness that despite everything else that's going on in the world, despite home life with mom, dad, whatever, there are people who care about them.
It's been really good to be involved in work with young people in churches for 20 years and work with kids at the Crossroad Cafe, which is not really a church, but it's an opportunity to connect with kids, to develop relationships, and to show them love. And hopefully, and this has happened, where you can actually share Jesus with these kids, and they'll take that big step to eternity. And so it's impacted my life as far as time and energy, but it's something that I always look forward to, and I'm not retiring.
It's fun, and it's also life learning.
It's a place where I can hang out with my friends and just not annoy my mother as much because I'm very loud.
Well, I like to come here mostly because friends, and I don't know, it's kind of like an environment that's fun to hang out with, and you get to see people, like different sides of people, like what you don't see like on the streets. Like people show here, like the different side of them, like more friendly kind, because they know it's a safe environment.
I can be here and not have to worry about as many things, and I just hang out and be social.
One of my friends told me that I should just come to this place, and so I did. Then I did. I followed them, and then first I had to tell my mom. She approved, so we went, and they signed me up.
Well, for me, right out of high school, I started helping with the youth group at my church that I had grown up in. And then John and I had an opportunity to rent a storefront in Farmington, Illinois, and we had a coffee house called the Sun House for a number of years. Then when we started going to Chile Bible Church, we started helping with the youth group there. And then when Crossroad Cafe was founded, then we just kind of eased into helping with the kids there, because our heart is with the kids.
So a lot of the folks that had developed this idea of having a youth center in downtown Chillicothe asked me if I would be the director. And I thought about it for about 10 seconds and talked to Chris, and we decided that yes, this was where God wanted us to be.
We've had kids that have called us while we're on vacation or just at home or whatever, and they just needed to talk about somebody or something that had come up. Maybe we had one boy whose grandma had passed away, or they had a problem or something. So there's that, so being available to them.
The other thing that can happen as you're involved and you gain trust with, especially with the students, but with the staff also, is that you can pass this attitude along to the students and the staff, and they would begin to think not just of themselves, but of others also.
And some kids do go to church that come here, you know, and some kids don't even know who Jesus Christ is. They've never heard of him. So just being able to meet them where they're at, and during the lesson time or the discussion time, trying to draw them into the discussion can be difficult sometimes.
About a year ago, we decided that as a family, this was our place to serve, with our kids being the age of these kids and the cafe. So all 5 of us would find ourselves down here to serve. And I will say serving is definitely what's done here at the cafe. From serving food in the kitchen to serving, playing pool. It's not always the most exciting activity when some kids struggle with losing. And also for my kids to see them serve others when they're put in a position that they don't necessarily know someone, but we're asking them to sit and talk with them.
It's kind of like Jesus and the woman at the well. A lot of questions both ways, and a lot of interaction.
This is the process.
Chris, I wonder if we ought to put the awning out while it's windy.
Probably not. Just the break from the routine and the day-to-day stuff.
I feel exhausted, and I'm ready, and I'm ready to get back to work in ministry.
And what's going to happen is she's going to drop off donations for our store, and then she's going to pick up the stuff that she just purchased. Thank you so much, man. We'll put those over here.
Well, Helping Hands is a resale shop. It's a charity resale shop. We give money to all kinds of charities. Any nonprofit organization can sign up to give money, to get money, and we give away thousands of dollars a month. People come from all over. We get people from different churches to volunteer. We get people that have been in the house for a long time. We found out that senior citizens, they want something to do. And we have lots of senior citizens come, and we just tell them whatever they can do. If they can do 2 hours a day, or they want to do 4 hours a day, or some of them want to stay all day long. So whatever they can do, we take them and let them be where they want to be. If they want to be in the back and sort clothes, they can do that. If they want to be up front taking cash, they can do that, or they can help people bring things in. So all different kinds of people from all walks of life.
Oh my gosh, it's so much fun. I retired about 5 years ago and really needed something to fill some time. And I had shopped here, of course, and just love the atmosphere, the people that are here. The volunteers just do such a fantastic job.
Well, I love the idea that this place gives back to the community. I retired from my job a year and a half ago, so I thought the thing I wanted to do was just come help out, and I come shopping a lot, so I love being back here and sorting and seeing all the goodies.
So about 7 years after we were part of starting the Crossroad Cafe Youth Center, we decided to step out of pastoral ministry and begin what we call Small World Connections. In that process, we began to help more Timothys, more people who had that Timothy attitude, find ways to serve, find ways to overcome barriers that might keep them from following what God was calling them to do, to serve missionaries and grow relationships with missionaries. And in that process, we realized that we needed to have some sort of funding engine, something that would help raise funds for mission teams as well as staff. And we settled on what is commonly known as a thrift store or a resale shop. And we decided to start a resale shop in our community here in Chillicothe, Illinois. And to kind of go along with the spirit of the Timothy culture, we didn't want to just look out for our own best interests, but we wanted to look out for the interests of others. And so we decided to partner with the Youth Center, with the Crossroad Cafe, to do that. And as on top of that, we decided to also pick another charity each week to share the proceeds with. And so it was kind of an exciting step.
Okay, let's put our masks on. See what we can find. We gotta come this way. I want to look for some pants too. Ken, it's only $3. Want to get that? Hi, Donna. Hi. We would like to get this. $3. Okay, that's a bargain. This is where it all started. After you called me and said you had a building, I came right down and looked at the building, and I think I said, it's pretty small. And but we were going to start out small. So we took all the things that were left from the rummage sale, and we put it in here on tables, and we started up. I didn't know if anybody was going to come, but people started flooding in. We opened the doors, and we had all these things, but it looked like a garage sale to me. And so I told Brent that we needed shelving. So Brent, that was his assignment for the week, is to go out and find shelving, which he did, which was a little miracle that God performed. But we started in here, and I was just by myself for a while, and then my friend Cindy came along and said, I'll help. And then other people started saying they'll help. And pretty soon we had 3 or 4 people that were helping bring stuff in and sell stuff and working behind the counter, and it just took off from there.
With the group and then with our business, we've been able to be on the receiving side. And so it has been great when they have contacted us. During our week, we have had times where we've been able to come in and volunteer, help set up things. And then I'm in a sorority, it's a service sorority. And we came in after hours one night, we were able to wipe down shelves and dust and be able to do all that kind of stuff. So it's really nice to be able to be on both sides of it and be able to get back in that way.
All of the money except for the maintenance things on the building, which is almost paid off. So we'll be able to give another $2,000 a month to local agencies, all nonprofits. So it's such a great feeling, and I think that's why everybody that works here, volunteers here, is just so wonderful, because it all goes back to help people.
Want to try a jacket on? Let's see if we can find a jacket. Yep, looks like it fits. You like that? We moved into this larger building where we could have furniture. It was great to have some of that stuff out of the little building and into the big building, and we had so much more room. So it was just a blessing. So now I had 2 helping hands. And there was just me and my staff of about 5 or 6 by then, maybe 8. So I would go to this building, run down to the other building, come back to this building while the girls took care of the 2 buildings. So we did that for, boy, I don't know how many months we did that. And it got to be a big joke of the businesses in between, because they would hold up their fingers how many times they had run back and forth that day.
Sherry's vision, her heart for the ministry were a huge part of it. She has that Timothy attitude, and she's part of a Timothy culture that puts others' best interests first. She served when she wasn't making a lot of money as income, but she was willing to make those sacrifices early on until the shop got going, and people caught the vision, people got involved, people donated, people volunteered, and the rest is history, like I said, because God really provided in mighty ways, and we've generated over $1 million, almost $2 million now through the resale shop, and we've actually multiplied that and have 2 other shops in other communities as well.
It wasn't too long that we outgrew this building. People started bringing furniture in, living room sets, dining room sets, bedroom sets, and it was getting filled up too. So we just prayed that we needed a bigger building, and we knew there was a bigger building available in town, but it was out of our reach as far as money went. But we just started praying for that, and we know our God is bigger and He can do anything. And so on a rainy day, on a Sunday afternoon, the whole town came out, and they had trailers and trucks and flatbeds, and they moved both of our buildings in 2 hours. And it seemed impossible, but God was there and He moved everything. And we moved on a Sunday. I think on a Tuesday we opened. So we got not only moved, but we got everything in place and ready to go and open within 3 days. So it was just remarkable.
So he comes and we unload this by hand, and there's pretty big box truck. So we fill this up. A lot of clothes. And this goes to Africa.
I knew that when I handed this off that it was in good hands, that the person that was going to take over loved it just as much as I did, and that made it really easy to do in one instance. But I knew I was going to miss it so much. But it's been wonderful because it's grown. I think it's more organized than when I had it. And we have 2 other shops that are doing well, and we're just blessing so many people. So I just couldn't ask for anything better. I couldn't ask for it.
All over in rural America, there's hidden pockets of poverty, people that are overlooked off the beaten path. The Ridge is one of those communities. It's known in this area as Goofy Ridge. It's just about 400 or 500 people. There's a lot of desperation, hurt and pain here. I knew it was a place we wanted to come and share the love and the light of Christ.
My understanding that started back in 2014. I was a part of the first class, and it was a vision that Steve kind of caught while he was in Uganda, Africa, and seeing the Abide program there and how it was really changing dozens of lives every single year for the men and women, young men and women who were a part of that, and had an idea for replicating kind of what was going on in Uganda, replicating that here in the States.
We started working in 2014. We came out to work with a guy named Jerry Stahl, who God used to start this ministry actually in this building right here, which is the first building where they met for services, and started seeing a lot of kids coming out, and every time the kids gathered there would be a meal, and just they were loved on and cared for. And pretty soon dozens of kids were coming, and just a few adults, and one by one they were coming to Jesus. Jerry contracted MS a few years ago and was just kind of run down physically. Started praying for some workers to come alongside.
And I've got MS, and I've got some other stuff too, but MS sometimes leaves me just really weak. And so the way Steve came into the picture is one Sunday when I was just completely wiped out. I'm like, Lord, I tried to raise up people from within the community. Would you please send help? And that was a Sunday afternoon that I prayed that. And the next morning, Steve called me and said, hey, I heard you're the person we're supposed to be talking to. We'd like to come alongside of you and minister with you.
And we had also been praying about coming to work out at the Ridge. I had been working in some area trailer park communities, sort of like the Ridge, and had some people ask me if there are other areas that we hadn't started working with. I said to a friend that, yeah, there's an area called the Ridge. It's a little way from here. It's almost too far gone. It would take somebody to be willing to come and live to make an impact here and a difference. And that young man said to me that I was faithless, that God could do anything. He wanted to be one of the people that would start living here. So the Abide program was born with 6 guys that chose to live together and minister in this community in 2014.
And so gathered a group of 6 guys originally in the summer of 2014, and we had heard about what God was doing out here in Goofy Ridge and how there was a church plant that was beginning, and we just wanted to come alongside of what God was doing already by His Spirit out here. And so we met Jerry Stahl, and he said, I want you to focus on the kids. I want you to pour and give all your energy and effort into the young children out here and to change a generation.
That's actually a heck of a throw right there. Come on, Steve.
Abide is a program where students who are recently graduated either from high school or from college can take like a gap year in their life and dedicate that to serving a community. We'll have people that either are fresh out of high school or college and they will live together in a house, and so that they can work together and better commit themselves to just helping out a community. So we like to partner with a church to do this. This happened really quite a few years ago, born out of the heart of just one guy that really wanted to change a community and got together about 6 other guys, and they did that first Abide year, and it was awesome. We wanted to do it again, so I became part of the second really Abide year, and I did it for a year and loved it and never really left. Came back again and then slowly grew in the Abide program until I became where I am now. So
the Abide guys, they spend a lot of time. Anytime you need anything, anytime you need to talk, just need their support or anything, they're always there. I never, growing up, I didn't know church like this.
We started to live together right outside of Manitou. We got to live in a farmhouse for free from someone named Matt Meyer. Just gave us a house to use that us 6 guys lived in. And we prayed together regularly. We studied God's Word together. We were a community. We were a small little part of a local church here, just loving the people of Goofy Ridge. And so now, almost 6 years, over 6 years later, it's still continuing now with our first group of girls. So it's been pretty exciting and pretty cool to see how God has just had His hand throughout the program this whole time.
So we come out and we have Tuesday church with the kids. Beforehand, we do Bible studies with some of the adults that are around here that are willing to and wanting to. Thursdays, we do work projects. Sometimes if we don't have any, then we go ahead and just hang out with the kids and be with the kids and build our relationship with them.
When I heard that this was going on for the girls this year, because this is the first year that the girls program has been a thing, when I heard that this was going on, I was very curious and I was like, ooh, that kind of sounds fun. So then I reached out to one of the girls and I was like, hey, like, what's going on? Like, what are you guys doing? Like, could I potentially, come out a couple days a week, maybe help out with food? And then she was like, yeah, but also you can move in with us. And I was like, oh. And for me, like, that was just a big, like, door open. And I prayed about it a lot, and I was thinking about it, seeking counsel, and I had just come to the decision that this is it. If I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna do it. And there's no better way to spend my time this year doing.
Tuesdays before youth group, we'll usually go around and meet up with other people and hold Bible studies in their homes or just hang out. So it's a lot of just going around the community, and we'll do food drives on the side too, passing out food and just building relationships with people.
It was about 3 years ago when my dad died, and It was on this month of the 27th, and it really sucked. And then 2 weeks after, I asked the Bi guys if I can get baptized, and they all said yes.
It wasn't necessarily Timothy's idea to go live out and do that things. He was discipled. Paul refers to Timothy as just, you were like a son to me, right? And so Timothy's like in this line where he's had people above him who have poured into his life and discipled him, and then Timothy, out of that overflow, can reach out and help others, and then and does it really well. And so I think one of the things that the Abide program does really well is we have mentors and leaders over top of us who I get to meet up with once a week over breakfast or a brunch kind of, and we get to be challenged by them. And then because I have that support leadership, maybe a mentorship you could say, from those other pastors or adults around the area, then that is really encouraging to me and helps me to be able to continue to do what I do.
When it came around to my baptism, I didn't know who was going to do it. I thought it was going to be Braden, but it was my best friend, the one that been the closest to me since he died, and it was my friend Ethan, the Bi guy. And so we got the baptism going, and he asked me all questions, and I said yes because I really like God and everything, and I was happy that I found the faith of God. So I'm like, let's do it. And then he dumped me in the water, and I got baptized. And after that, I kept going and coming to church.
So I think it was 2012, I met Brent Ressler in a coffee shop, and he saw a screensaver on my computer that said Common Ground, which is a ministry that we started in Delavan with a desire to reach out to the community and cooperate together. And it was very similar to Small World Connections. So we struck up a friendship, and as Brent realized my heart for Africa, he told about a partner that Small World had in Junamagara in Uganda.
And within a few months of getting to know Steve, he found out about our youth center and our resale shop, and he came over and checked out what we were doing in our town in Chillicothe, and we got to be pretty good friends. And he found out that one of the things we do with Small World Connections is send people on short-term mission teams in hopes that they will develop a relationship with the missionaries they're serving and continue to serve them in a Timothy way, through a Timothy attitude. And so Steve was very interested in Africa and getting his church involved in Africa. We had a partner in Junamagara in Uganda, and Steve was very interested in going. So we set the trip up for him, organized it for him, did the pre-trip meetings, and sent that first team. Since then, his church has gone on to support many children that are part of that orphan ministry. Steve has become a board member of that ministry. And one of the more exciting things that happened was that on that first trip, he found out about a ministry of discipleship that they do in Uganda called Abide.
And I was really excited for our church to investigate how we could get involved in orphan ministry through that ministry there. And so we started supporting them in 2012, and in 2013 we took a mission trip. And my kind of takeaway from that trip, the biggest thing that hit me as far as what we could put in action as we went home, was how this orphan ministry cared for their students between high school and university. And they had a gap year program called Abide, and where they would live together for 6 months and really be encouraged and equipped to look at university as a mission field. So I came back just really clearly called from the Lord to start something like that here, to encourage high school students to take a year to really investigate their motives and their ambitions, their agenda for their life, and to give it to the Lord in service. And so as we started looking for a community where they could serve together, the Lord led us to Goofy Ridge, and that's kind of how the Abide program began.
But it was just exciting to see that through line between those first two ministries lead into his trip to Uganda, which in turn ended up him bringing back a vision for the Abide ministry that we now know of in our community, in our area. So God is big, and we underestimate what he'll do if we offer our pieces of the puzzle. And Steve does that, and we've seen that Timothy attitude lived out in the Abide ministry, and now he's passed that on to the young people that are part of that, and they'll continue that ministry for years to come.